coffee smells like whiskey. It smells like a hangover. I'm going to throw up.
Because it's the whiskey coffee because I'm trying to get rid of it.
I know. We were going to talk about something. We were going to have business, and I forget what it was. Oh, I think we were going to tell all of our listeners that they need to stop what they're doing.
Shut the fuck up.
Including listening to this podcast. Run, not walk, to go get some showtime. And then watch every single episode of On Becoming a God in Central Florida.
Oh, yeah. We have been watching that. Yeah,
it is imperative.
It's very good.
It is, if you don't know what the premise is, it is about a MLM in Central Florida in the 90s, and like all of this weirdness that kind of goes along with a character that comes into contact with it.
And the tone of the show is about as weird as MLMs are, which is to say quite weird.
Extremely.
And I feel like it really takes... I think it would agree with our assessment of MLMs from the Mary Kay episode, or at least from what the show... I think they would say yes
the show
to that question.
That show is in line with our show. And I guess in the spirit of that as well, I think we've shouted it out before, but for all of you listeners who listened to The Dream, and all of you new listeners who haven't listened to The Dream... They have just released all 4 bonus episodes from their first season about MLMs.
Yeah, and episode 3 and 4 are about like how MLMs can be culty, and they actually have a cult deprogrammer on to talk about it. It's really excellent. It's
perfect ancillary content for our podcast.
And since I know Jane Marie listens to this, shout out to Jane Marie.
Huge shout out to Jane Marie.
That would be so cool.
Yeah, I know.
It's never going to happen.
She did like your tweet.
She did like my tweet, which I can die happy now, basically.
So that's all the business that I have. Did we have any further?
Any more business? I don't know. Do we want to talk about like how we have some an interesting like? Do we want to start talking about like season 1 finale? And we're gonna be end of season 1 and take a couple months, and then are we going to talk about that yet?
I mean, you just did, so let's talk about it.
I mean, we could just not talk about.
Listeners,
we could cut that.
We
have the power.
Are coming up on our season 1 finale, and we have something pretty fun in store, I think, to kind of tie us up. This
slightly different.
Yeah, just to like tie it all together, tie up all the loose ends, but leave enough loose ends so that we can come back for season 2 in the new year.
Oh, and we have some cool stuff for season 2.
Oh, we have some cool stuff we have some. I mean, not to jump the gun, we have some cool stuff ahead for the rest of this season. So what it'll be? It'll be
no, the rest of the season's trash.
Fuck you.
But
it'll be this episode, and then probably 1 to 2 more episodes, and then our last one.
I think it'll definitely be 2. I don't think it'll be. I think my next topic is 2 episodes.
Okay, so 3 more episodes, you guys, and then last one of the year.
Yeah, 3 including this one.
3 including this one.
Yeah. So
and then the finale.
So stay tuned.
And just get ready, strap in.
Yeah.
But I guess
don't churn.
We are getting ahead of ourselves because we need to finish this episode. From 2 weeks ago, we started talking about Spirit Halloween and Halloween pop-up stores and the retail apocalypse and kind of everything that went along with that. How much of a recap do you think we need to do? We talked about Spirit Halloween, how it started in the 80s. It started kind of at first it was a women's discount shop, and then the guy was like, I need to make some actual business, and so he started selling Halloween.
And didn't he have wasn't he next door neighbors or something?
He was next door neighbors to a costume shop, and he was like, I want that, because they would always get so much business during Halloween.
Right.
And that's how he pivoted. Joe Marver pivoted into Halloween pop-up stores. The first one he had, if I remember, made $100,000 in the first month of being open.
I want $100,000 in a month.
I know. Spirit Halloween has become so prolific and so profitable. The 3 months that it is open out of the year, it makes up Spencer Gifts LLC's half of their entire yearly revenue. So remember, these stores are only open from mid-August to November 1st, and they make bank.
And if they're open a quarter of the year but make half the profit, then does that mean they're doubly as awesome?
I think it means 75.
Or 42.
Yeah, it's one of those. But we mostly focused on last episode, I feel like, kind of the origins of Spirit Halloween. And then we talked a lot about the retail apocalypse and how so many stores are moving either online or totally going out of business. And there's so much, empty real estate now. And that's kind of how these pop-up stores are able to operate.
And we posted some pictures of dead malls because those are just like hauntingly beautiful and fascinating to look at.
I also posted a picture literally today because I was at a mall. And I walk into the mall, and guess what I am greeted with? Guess what is the first thing I see?
Spirit Halloween.
Build-A-Bear Workshop, bitch.
Oh, hell yeah.
So I took a picture, posted it.
Motherfucking Build-A-Bear.
Keeping that
Let's
mall.
do an episode on them.
Yeah, it's keeping that mall afloat. So that's kind of what we covered last episode. This episode, we're getting more into the nitty-gritty details of exactly how these stores operate, what it's like to work there, what it's like to shop there, kind of all that. And that'll help us we'll have a well-rounded view.
Fully rounded, yeah.
Fully rounded view of the store.
367-degree view.
And then we'll be able to make our decision.
Yeah.
So
what would we say if we didn't say nitty-gritty? Like if you
natty,
had to...
gritty, I don't know.
Yeah, like what would we say?
Crucial
the blank details.
The minutia.
Maybe minutia, yeah.
Minutia always feels so like flippant though. Kind of feels pejorative. The deets.
The deets. Ooh, yeah. So we're about to give you the deets.
The deets. Let's go.
All right.
So let's talk about the life cycle of a Spirit Halloween store.
Ooh, so like two Spirit Halloween stores that love each other very much, have store sex.
Yeah.
And then they make a baby Halloween store, and then it grows up and dies. And is that...
Did you just create a fetish?
Probably.
Is there fan art of this?
I don't know. You said it was a life
Any
cycle.
of our listeners, if you're good at drawing art, please draw us a picture.
Draw that.
Please draw us a picture
Whatever
of two
you do,
Spirit Halloween stores having sex.
Don't draw that. I'm sorry I said it.
Please do. Okay. As we've mentioned, Spirit Halloween stores generally open in mid-August and close about 1 to 3 days after Halloween. They keep somewhat long hours, generally open from 10 a.m.-ish to 10 p.m.-ish, sometimes later on actual Halloween day. They hire store associates and managers several weeks before the stores open, like in the midsummer, and continually hire store associates throughout the 3 months they're open, like sales associates.
How do they get people to work there when they know that it's only going to be like a temporary...
We will get into it. We will get to that.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So this is seasonal, flexible work with many employees maintaining other full-time jobs while working part-time at Spirit. Team
the
members,
millennial way.
Oh, yeah. Team members get discounts on products. They stay on for several weeks after closing to help tear down the store, and then get an even deeper discount on items after the store is like fully fucked off. Anything
You mean like after Halloween?
Yeah, like after they've like torn the store down, like during that period, they can like buy things at a very deep discount.
Right, that makes sense. Okay.
But there's still going to be stuff left over, and for these stores, anything that's not sold can generally go back into storage and then be put up for sale during the next Halloween season. That's actually one of the contributing factors to these store successes. They never have to dump or get rid of inventory because Halloween costumes can work year after year.
Right, like we saw the Jasmine costume,
yeah.
And that movie came out in Well, actually, I guess there was the recent live action one.
There was the recent, but still, like...
It had Buzz Light. Well, that was recent
There's
too.
like if you made a Jasmine Halloween costume in 1994, like the fact that it's still people want a Jasmine Halloween costume 20 plus years later, like
yeah. I'd go as Jasmine this year.
There's nothing stopping you. We saw it at the Halloween store. So that's the basics. Let's now get down to the specifics. While the stores themselves are only open for 3 months out of the year, corporate operations stay going strong during the other 9 months.
What are they doing? Are they just like playing mini golf in their offices?
First of all, there is I forget if we've mentioned this already, but Spirit Halloween has a year-round online presence, so that needs people. But even outside of that, before the stores even close on November 1st, Spirit Halloween sends scouts out into the world to begin searching for locations for the following year.
Oh my God.
There's a couple
That's
reasons.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's like the article that I read, I forget which one it is. I'm going to link. I have a ton of articles to link. I'm going to link almost all of them.
That suggests that they have it down to a science. That's really cool.
Oh, they do. I didn't even get into this because, again, there's so much to get into. But like they also have this process where every single person that works there and also employees, like people that go there, they provide feedback that is then like funneled into the corporate headquarters in this very like
feedback
of what worked, what didn't work, what can be improved, and then the corporate center spends the next year the mother brain spends the next year like honing down on the best version that's of Spirit Halloween that it can be based on all of this like feedback from thousands of stores.
That's crazy. It's like a genetic algorithm.
Yeah, it's the way this operates is amazing. So, okay, back to the scouters that scout like on November 1st, starting on November 1st. There's a couple reasons why they need to start so early. One, it can actually be pretty difficult to secure short-term leases, even when buildings have been empty for years.
Makes sense. Nobody wants to have you pay them for 3 months and then piss off. Yeah.
Two, literally every year, each Spirit Halloween store builds itself up from scratch.
What the fuck?
They have to, like, basically, it's a new
I guess that makes sense.
business every single year because they completely disappear and then they have to completely rebuild. Like, you got to find a new building and secure the lease. You got to find, hire, and train new employees, which there are more than 30,000 of across all stores.
It doesn't make sense that this is monetarily viable. It just doesn't make any sense.
Very much is. They have to, like, do complete and total buildup and takedown of over 1,300 individual stores. Like, it's truly insane to think about. So, yeah, while the stores are only open for a short time, year-round planning and preparation is absolutely necessary.
Wow. Are we going to call this episode The Masters of Logistics?
Sure. Well, you might be asking yourself, why is it so difficult to secure these leases? You're not actually asking yourself that because you just answered the question.
But that's what I wrote, so I say it anyway.
Say it anyway. I mean, yeah, you're right. In general, the folks, the very rich people who own these locations know that they're valuable and would often rather pass on a short-term lease that only makes them so much money in favor of holding out for someone looking for a long-term lease.
Right.
And this is the reality Spirit Halloween faces every year. They have to find real estate owners willing to negotiate a very short-term lease.
So what type of real estate owners is that?
I mean, they have to find people that are willing to do it. It's just really a matter of, like, finding a location that you want and seeing if you can negotiate the lease. You can go on Spirit's website and they have, like, if you're somebody who owns an empty building, you can go on their website and just, like, read about the process and then, like, contact them. Like,
sign up.
Yeah, they haven't, there's a very specific
That's fascinating.
portion of their site that's dedicated to this because they're always looking for space because, again, it can be difficult to secure everything that they need.
Right.
And, like, Spirit Halloween also can't just stick itself in any old location. Like, they generally need to position themselves where there's already foot traffic or other shopping locations.
Right.
And size is also an issue. Like, they do pride themselves and they do advertise themselves as being able to fit into a space as small as, like, 3,000 square feet. They generally prefer to find spaces ranging from, like, 5,000 to 50,000 square feet. And I think, like, the average store is, like, 10,000. But that kind of flexibility of, like, anywhere between 3,000 to 50,000 also contributes to the success of the business because they can kind of adapt to whatever.
Right. It sounds like they need to be able to adapt.
Right.
Yeah.
So with all of those parameters and restrictions, I personally do not envy that job.
No.
But on the other hand, I did read a pretty compelling argument in a Medium article that claimed Spirit Halloween and other pop-up stores like it actually provide great benefit to their surroundings. The article, this article made me go like, ooh, I want to do this. I want to work at Spirit Halloween. The article basically states that Spirit Halloween is responsible for revitalizing once floundering areas, bringing money back to shopping centers and strip malls without committing the act of gentrification. Given their, right?
Because they bail afterwards.
They bail. They're not like these stores are pop-up by nature. They do not change the general, like, face or feel of the community. They're not trying to alter how the community exists. They just inhabit it for those 3 months, and they bring hordes of people carrying cash who, like...
It's so counterintuitive to me, because, like, if you think about it, you're like, if you're in the community, would you rather have, like, a store come in and set up shop and be there for a long time and be part of the community and just constantly bring in people, or would you rather have somebody be there for 3 months and then fuck off? I would always say the first one. So it's interesting that,
the first one's not necessarily wrong. It's just if the first one is gentrifying, it's not ideal.
Okay.
Like if it's I always go back, if it's an artisanal cupcake shop in a food desert, like that's kind of not useful to the local community. But if it's like a grocery store, then maybe it's slightly better. But Spirit Halloween is potentially...
All right, hold on. Are you saying that you can't subsist on cupcakes?
I am saying you can't subsist on cupcakes. That's
just false.
It's absolutely true. I've tried.
You can live on cupcakes.
No.
In fact, you should live on cupcakes.
Don't.
Because they're delicious.
They are delicious. They are missing some major nutritional value.
You can eat cupcakes until you die. And it might be of only eating cupcakes, but you will be able to live until you don't anymore.
They provide plenty of nutritional value. They provide good fats and good carb. But you will be lacking in other nutritional areas. So I do not, in my expert opinion, I do not recommend trying to live on cupcakes.
Oh, we should start a protein cupcake shop.
As long as there's carrots in it, as long as there's a carrot cake option, then you're good. Or a leafy green option, then you're fine. Anyway, so this article is saying that the Spirit Halloween stores bring a bunch of people back into the community, and like maybe that person needs to stop at the coffee shop next door and order an espresso because they're all tired from their shopping, or maybe they're hungry after their excursion and need to like go across the street for some wings or a sandwich or whatever.
Cupcake.
Or a cupcake that's not artisanal and that actually serves the community. I thought that was pretty cool. Made me think about it a little differently.
Fucking artisanal cupcakes.
I'm not a fan. Okay, let's talk about reason number 2 as to why Spirit Halloween has to start prepping for the following season immediately after Halloween. Mm-hmm. We already noted that they literally have to build up and tear down 1,300 full businesses each year from absolute scratch, but that's not the only thing they need to start planning in advance. Remember how we noticed all those licensed costumes ranging from movies, TVs to video game characters?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Spirit Halloween does its damnedest every single year to analyze and predict what each year's big Halloween trend will be.
Damn, son.
Yeah.
Wait, so they have data now? Like they have me's there too?
Yes. Yeah.
Can I work there?
Sure.
Awesome.
So this process of analysis allows the company plenty of time to license and produce said costumes. They actually do a lot of work in this prediction arena. I'll link to some articles about it because, again, it's very cool. Like one of the ways that they do this is they'll look ahead and see, what big blockbuster movies are planned for that year. So if it's like Spider-Man, they'll order a bunch of Spider-Man costumes.
Right,
or
and if Toy
Joker,
Story's coming
Joker
out,
costumes.
then,
right,
okay.
So they then start producing costumes based on that. Even so, Joseph Marver, the guy who founded it, told Newhouse News Services that it's imperative to have some wiggle room just in case. Quote, you'd better have some money left over for sleepers, movies you didn't know would be a box office smash and kids were going to want.
Shit, that's so smart.
You have to account for the unknown, the known unknowns.
Leave a little bit of money for the known unknowns, yeah.
Is that a known unknown? You know that there's going to be that
you don't
unknown.
know about it, so yes.
Okay.
An unknown unknown would be like...
You don't even know that you don't know about it.
Yeah, it would somebody invented a different form of entertainment that you didn't account for. And people want to dress as that. Probably when Fortnite happened.
I think it'd be more like if people started wanting to dress up as TikToks.
Yeah, maybe more like that.
Speaking of inventory, let's talk about it. Spirit Halloween.
Man, I am so excited to talk about logistics and inventory.
Nah, this is more fun than that. Spirit Halloween and its parent company, Spencer's, literally partners with a bunch of different companies each year in order to sell all that sweet, sweet licensed merch we saw. They're not just getting licenses, they form partnerships every year.
Okay, so with Disney and with Epic Games and...
Yeah, that's a great example. For example, Spirit announced a partnership with Epic Games earlier this year, and that's why they can sell Fortnite stuff.
Got it.
They've partnered with Disney, I think, for the last couple years in order to be able to sell specifically Hocus Pocus merchandise, which for some reason is very popular. Hocus Pocus
is Halloween themed, I guess.
It is Halloween themed, but it's an older film, and it's just really interesting that film in particular is popular. And I think it's just
and also as a reason to partner with Disney, of all of the reasons to partner with Disney because they own all media,
I mean, they may have partnered in other arenas to sell the Jasmine costumes, but
or any of the
specifically,
Marvel
I read about the Hocus Pocus situation because again, it was interesting.
Your kids love Bette Midler.
The kids these days very into her.
Yeah,
you should follow her on Twitter. Actually, don't. The list of these partnerships goes on and on and on. Because remember, Spirit Halloween is not hurting for cash, so it can afford to make these deals that in turn make them even more money back in sales. So it's a pretty nifty little loop, and it's a huge, huge draw for the store. Way more people are going to want to shell out for an official Mario costume.
Yeah.
And then want to show up to their Halloween party
as Italian plumber with
nobody wants to be
turtle.
Italian mustache mushroom stomper. They don't want to be that. And
right. That's a parenting fail, right? That's
if you don't buy your kids the expensive licensed costume, you're failing as a parent.
Okay, so maybe that's not how I meant that.
I never, just full disclosure, I when I was growing up as a kid, I never bought a Halloween costume. We always made our own.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I feel like we frequently made ours, but Sometimes I feel like we bought them. I don't even remember what I went as.
Oh, I do.
Half the time.
I actually talked about it a little bit later. So.
I have a couple things I remember. Like
you were that robot. I'm definitely. We should post that robot picture.
We're definitely posting a picture of me as a robot. That was a DIY. I think.
And it was adorable.
But I think I was too small to be DIYing. I think my mom and dad did that entirely.
Of course, yeah. I don't mean I wasn't making my costumes at 4. My parents were making them. Frankly, something like licensed merchandise to me seems like it would generate a lot of customer loyalty and keep customers coming back year after year.
Yeah.
And the quality of the costumes are actually generally very good for the price. I did find some negative reviews online here and there, particularly when it comes to ordering off of their online store. But in general, Spirit Halloween is known for having a slightly higher price point than other Halloween stores, but their costumes are also of that slightly higher quality than these other Halloween stores. It's also worth noting...
Do they capture a large chunk of the market? Because if you're choosing between Spirit Halloween and generic plumber costume store?
Yeah, no, they're the biggest Halloween store.
Okay.
They're the biggest Halloween store. It's also worth noting, one day when we actually do Halloween itself as a topic, we can get more into it, but it's worth noting that Spirit Halloween's success in the mid-'80s and beyond was also due to some pretty damn good timing. Over the past few decades, once baby boomers started having their own kids... So, okay, here's a brief timeline. Halloween started getting, to be a big deal post-World War II when, it was the 50s and, kids could go walk around.
Suburbia became a thing.
Right. And then once baby boomers became adults and had their own kids, they kind of were like, well, but I want to do Halloween too. Literally.
Right.
It's I want Halloween for myself.
Well, yeah. I mean, to be fair, we do that.
Yeah, but we learned it from the boomers.
Every time it's Halloween and, we buy candy and put it in a bowl.
Oh no, I don't
nobody
mean.
comes by.
I don't mean they want to give candy trick or treaters. They want to have their own Halloween celebration outside of children. This is a thing. Halloween over the past few decades has become increasingly more and more adult, starting with baby boomers were starting to have their own kids.
But wait, boomers as kids got to do Halloween, so they just want to keep doing it?
What do you think?
Now, Kayla, I don't want to alienate a percentage of our audience. Boomers suck.
No, boomers are fine, but I'm just saying, I'm not making a judgment call on boomers. I'm just saying this is the timeline when that generation came of an age where generally most people had children. While yes, they wanted their kids to celebrate Halloween, they also wanted to have their own adult Halloween. And that's why it's become increasingly more and more adult.
And now that's why we have, Sexy Banana.
Yeah, exactly. Kids still trick or treat. There's still candy given out. But Halloween is now equally known for its adult-only parties with the sexy Bob Ross costumes and general grown-up celebration.
Gotta see sexy Bob Ross.
You haven't seen sexy Bob Ross? There's also sexy Mr. Rogers now.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I don't know. Along with this trend ramping up over the past few decades, the mid-'80s was also when, according to a few articles I found, comic book publishers and movie studios started becoming more and more open to licensing agreements. So Halloween stores could now, for the first time, carry costumes of more specific characters for both kids and adults. And for a lot of people, this made Halloween more fun.
Sure.
Who wants to dress up as a generic train conductor when you can literally be Wonder Woman?
Or Spider-Man.
I mean, me, because I literally was a train conductor for my first Halloween. And it was fucking adorable. And every year Halloween, I'm like, God, I wish I could do that again. And I can't, and I don't. So I wish I could
still be Wonder Woman.
No, I don't want to be Wonder Woman. I want to be a train conductor.
Oh.
I mean, I want to be Wonder Woman, but I want to be a train conductor more in my Halloween costume because it was such a cute fucking costume, and I'll try to find a picture. Another reason customers keep coming back year after year is just the sheer variety and volume of merchandise available in these stores. Traditional retailers like Target and Walmart and some other dedicated Halloween stores generally carry about 1,000 pieces related to the holiday.
Okay.
Spirit Halloween kicks it up to 11, and their stores generally carry 6,000 pieces.
Wow.
At each store.
Wow. So yeah, I mean, I remember that from when we were there. It seemed like there was a wide variety of things. There was costumes for kids, costumes from video games, costumes from movies, costumes from TV shows, and costumes from other things.
Decorations and animatronics.
And wigs and animatronics, right. There was just a wide variety of things. Fog machine.
Fog machines. Anything that you could want, you're going to find it, and then some at Spirit Halloween.
Yeah. By the way, the fog machine, we bought it. It's going here in the studio right now, so just imagine it being Our studio is spooky. Okay.
Okay. Here's a couple interesting stats just to kind of wrap up our discussion on their merch and sales in general. An article about Spirit Halloween from E-clincher.
From what?
E-clincher.
Is that a report? What is that?
It's a website. They talk about clinchers.
Clinchers? What's a clincher? What are you talking about?
It was an article on a website that was very interesting, and it had like sources cited. And here's
okay, but is it like, that's what I'm saying? Like, is that is it like Vox, or is it just like a?
It's like a hometown Vox.
Okay.
So they claim that as of 2018, adults accounted for 65% of Halloween costume sales.
Holy shit.
Also, as of 2018, the Halloween industry as a whole generated about $9 billion
oh, fudge.
in customer spending.
That's a lot of fudge and other candies.
It is a lot of fudge. In fact, it is 60% more fudge than the previous decade.
Damn.
So you can see why Spirit Halloween accounts for half of Spencer's revenue.
Yeah, that's starting to make more sense. God damn, that's crazy though.
I know.
Just like.
Do you want me to break it down even further?
Yeah, break it down.
So of that, please stop doing that. It's horrible and I hate it.
I'm gonna break it down on Culted Just Weird.
I will not. I will stop talking. So to break it down, $3.2 billion was spent on, what do you think?
Oh, is that what it was spent on? It was spent on a product called What Do You
Think? The hot new game.
Costumes?
Spent on costumes. Yes, okay. Costumes first. 2.7.
A third on costumes.
Yeah.
Okay, so a third on costumes, a third on decorations, a third on candy. Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah, but in that order. Like it's costumes first, then 2.7 billion on decorations, and then coming in third was candy with only 2.6 billion. Only 2.6 billion spent on it. Only 2.6 billion. And then like the remainder was like greeting cards and things like that.
Right. Man, that is a lot of Reese's. Yeah. And unfortunately, it's also a lot of things that aren't Reese's, which is terrible. But
circus peanuts and
candy corn.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't want to get into that.
So, okay. I think we have a pretty good sense of the general business practices of Spirit Halloween and how it works. And while, yes, the way this company works is incredibly non-traditional, one might even say weird, what could the cult aspects possibly be? Yeah,
it sounds just like a store. Well, aside from the I hope cut this if I'm jumping the gun here, but just the fact that it brigadoons in and out of existence every year is kind of like a weird ritualistic thing.
I would not argue with you on that. Let's talk for a moment about the potential cult followers, Spirit Halloween employees, and the customers themselves. Okay, let's talk Halloween in general.
We bought something there, so that's us now.
Now. Like most things, Halloween, the holiday, has some pretty intense super fans. Like people who like people who are obsessed with Halloween, like the holiday itself, or just like living the Halloween lifestyle 24/7. They spend their time on Halloween forums, talk about all things Halloween, just generally geek out over the spooky holiday. And I actually love that. I think it's really sweet.
Drink PSLs.
I don't know if that's Halloween.
It is.
No.
Pumpkin. Pumpkin is Halloween.
Pumpkin is also Thanksgiving.
It's both.
I'm just saying.
You carve pumpkins for Halloween, dude. People
who drink PSLs are not necessarily Halloween super fans.
Okay, but there's probably an overlap.
Sure.
It's what we call that part of the Venn diagram, dorks.
I mean, either way, there's a huge fandom for... That was mean. There's a huge fandom for Halloween. There's a huge fandom for pumpkin spice lattes.
And there's some overlap.
And again...
Don't worry, you're not dorks. I like PSLs too.
PSLs are delicious.
I'm very basic.
So we're talking about fandom, and when we start talking about fandom, we start wading into like some potentially gray or muddy areas that sometimes overlap with cult-like behavior or activity.
Right. We've talked about fandoms being cult-like before.
So let's talk about employees first. I hunkered down and read a lot of forums and posts from people who worked at or wanted to work at Spirit Halloween. And in general, the reviews were largely positive. Like, almost entirely positive. One reason is that Spirit Halloween seems to be a pretty like live and let live style employer. Like I read one story where the guy was like, yeah, it was pretty chill and lax, but like my boss was also the store manager also was like vaping, like off vaping half the time. So like it was just chill.
Ooh, that is dangerous now though, I guess, right? Yeah. I don't know.
They also don't drug test. They're felony friendly. They hire people with no work experience, and they actively try to accommodate people's schedules and make working there a fun experience.
By felony friendly, you mean like they like their employees to commit felonies while you're working there?
No, it just means that if you have a felony in your past, you can still work there.
Okay.
So,
or is it when you are so friendly that it's a crime?
I'm sure it's that.
I've met people like that.
So they also try to accommodate people's schedules and just generally make working there a fun experience.
All of that sounds pretty good.
I know. Because they need so many seasonal employees, the interviews tend to be fairly easy, but they also tend to tremendously lowball their sales associates.
Oh.
You can really only expect to make minimum wage while you're there, even when you're working near Halloween when it gets hella crazy. The Washington Post, reported in 2018 that, quote, nearly 70% of its business happens in the 2 weeks leading up to Halloween. Wow. So sales associates working...
That's crazy, because they're open for what, 3 months?
Yeah.
Wow.
So sales associates working minimum wage are expected to deal with what I found in one forum described as Black Friday level conditions for that long with that little of pay.
Right, and they're on drugs and vaping, so it makes it even harder.
Right, and they're criminals, and they are having fun.
But they're criminally friendly.
Right.
So
either
that's
way,
good.
It sounds like a little bit hellish in some ways. And it's honestly a little crazy to me that given how much money these stores rake in, they couldn't provide better than minimum wage to their employees. But, I mean, I'm no businessman. Just a thought. What seems even crazier to me is how often it seems like employees return to Spirit Halloween year after year only to work in the same conditions.
Huh.
From my research...
I mean, maybe just it's because of the benefits and perks, like of being like chill and lax and, you know, friendly to various lifestyles and whatever.
Right.
Like maybe that's enough that they don't care as much about the money.
Possibly.
Maybe they're all Halloween fans.
I think it's any and all of the above. But it's also important to note that it seems like there's there's potentially growth opportunities for like managers and associate managers and above. Sales associates,
like internal growth, like you can rise the ranks of the Halloween,
or you can at least like come back with like a higher title, whatever.
Okay.
Generally, sales associates have no upward mobility and are provided with no incentive really to return. Like there's no bump in pay. There's not really any sort of perk. So
you can't become like senior skeleton costume associate 3.
Right. Again, this is all mostly anecdotal from forums as well as reviews on Indeed and Glassdoor and the like, but I just thought it was worth noting. Another thing I noticed was the ways various seasonal workers seem to end up working for Spirit Halloween. 2 ways which feel a little ritualistic and 1 way that feels not. The least culty way is just our economy. We know that in many, if not most parts of the country, and for certain swaths of the population, like you mentioned, millennials, jobs can be somewhat scarce and hard to procure. And long-term employment with benefits is basically a thing of the past for a lot of people. Instead, many people make ends meet via working a variety of temp jobs, odd jobs, gigs, and anything in between.
Are you just trying to bring the whole capitalism as a cult thing into this episode because we need it for every episode?
It keeps coming up.
Is that what we're trying to do again?
It's not my fault. It keeps coming up.
Okay.
So one gentleman named George, interviewed by Inverse.com in an article about Halloween pop-up shops, does just that. Working at Spirit Halloween for those 3 months gives him the means to last, quote, long enough for me to make enough money to survive until Christmas. Okay, but that's in our reality
subsistence
today.
Salary.
Yeah,
Woo.
in our reality today, that's like pretty normal, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's one way. Another way employees come to work for Spirit Halloween that kept popping up in my research, recruitment by friends and family.
Uh-oh.
In several articles.
Uh-oh. Did they say I have
no
a business
MLM
opportunity?
here. There's no MLM sitch.
Do you want to be your own boss and make the money that you know you deserve?
I don't think they say that.
Oh.
No, they don't say that, but in several articles as well as forum posts, many Spirit Halloween employees recounted that they'd been encouraged to apply for the job by people they already knew. From the Prowler.org interview with an anonymous Spirit employee, quote, my cousin was like, you should come work with us. And I was like, no. He said, why not? And I said, fine.
That's the best conversation I've ever heard. No. Also, that guy, some MLM needs to get that guy because he is low sales barrier for him.
Or maybe the why not was just that convincing. Maybe it was a very loaded, communicative.
That's true.
Why
Maybe it was like a
not?
Yeah.
And it really made him think and go
like look deep into his eyes and go, why not?
That makes me go, oh yeah, you're right. Why not?
Oh
I believe in myself.
Right.
Fine.
Shit, you're right.
Fine.
Okay, sorry, I'll do it.
Other stories I read about included 2 girls at the same store that were hired because they were already friends with the manager outside of work. Another
2 Girls, One Manager.
2 Girls, One Manager, my favorite movie. A number of forum posters talked about friends they knew who, quote unquote, raved about the job, convincing them to apply. Now, it's not necessarily weird to apply to work at places your friends and family already work.
No.
But I do think that across the internet, there is story after story after story of people who absolutely love working at this place when it's a temp gig with no benefits and bad pay.
Yeah, that is
Just saying.
That is weird.
So that was way number 2. The third way that I came across in regards to how people come to work at Spirit Halloween goes...
Mind control device.
Yes, they implant it into... They actually put fluoride into the water.
Okay,
There's little
now
nanobots
it's sounding
in there.
culty.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
Fluoride in the water is good for your teeth. Just fucking drink the water. Okay, so let's go back to the Halloween enthusiasts, because that's kind of like the third way a person may arrive at Spirit Halloween. Forum post after forum post of Halloween enthusiasts excitedly talking about how to work there, what it's like to work there, loving working there, the great benefits of working there, which largely seem to be getting the opportunity to help others like enjoy the holiday and like find a fun costume, and then also the 30 to 80% discount they get on merchandise.
Right. It sounds like being like a Disney character. It's a tough job, but it's like
being able to be a Disney
rewarding.
character who's obsessed with Disney and gets to then...
That's a lot of Disney characters.
Then get to buy... Oh, I don't know if that's necessarily true. I knew Disney characters at Disneyland, and it was more just they were like actors.
Oh, because you know Land and I know World.
Yeah.
World, it's more like...
Weirdos.
people that are fans.
Cultos?
Cultos or weirdos. Actually, I guess we have said on the show that weird is not bad. So yes, weirdos.
I love weirdos.
Sense.
I'm a weirdo.
Yes.
I'm doing this
weirdo
fucking podcast.
Weirdo in a positive connotation. Yes, my understanding is that there's a lot of Disney characters that themselves are like, rah rah, yay Disney, I like Disney.
But imagine if those people then got an 80% discount on like all the Disney products.
Oh shit, Disney would never do that.
No, of course not. But like, but that's what it's like for these Halloween enthusiasts. It's like, why wouldn't I do this job? I get to hang out in Halloween, and then I get to like get a bunch of shit.
Right.
So I thought that was really interesting to see. I mean, I didn't, of course, if I had thought about it, I probably could have figured it out, but I hadn't really known that the Halloween enthusiasts were a thing before researching this topic. But again, it makes sense.
You knew they were a thing.
I don't think I knew that they were a thing.
You didn't know, but you knew.
Like, I knew deep down.
You knew deep down. You'd seen goth people. You'd seen people
people aren't necessarily obsessed with Halloween.
No, but... I mean, come on.
Come on what?
Come on. You know?
Well, either way, if you are into Halloween, working at a Halloween-themed store seems to be just... another way to like kind of feed your obsession and feed your fandom.
Sure.
Speaking of fandom, let's talk about the customers. While Spirit Halloween obviously serves a clientele as vast and varied as our general human population, it also has a habit of a cult following.
Oh, cult following.
And Spirit
Halloween
encourages this. I think we already mentioned, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, the like haunted houses and animatronic displays.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
But I don't want to downplay the spectacle factor many of these stores have. Like the haunted houses and the animatronic displays are a real thing. Like
I kind of want to go to a haunted house version now.
I know, me too.
The animatronic displays we saw, like
they were cool and
there
scary.
Was like at least a dozen of them.
Yeah, all different.
At least all different, and yeah, some of them were like legit. Pretty scary.
I mean, when that dog jumped out at me, I like yelped and ran.
And then some of the like skeletons and like ghosts and whatever were like, like pretty good.
Yeah. I like the animatronics. So it's clear that Spirit really wants to deliver more than just a shopping experience. They want to deliver an entertainment experience. Their like store motto is so much fun, it's scary.
I love that.
They encourage patrons to share pics of the store on social media, try on costumes right there in the aisle. They build...
that's smart.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They build unique animatronic displays and haunted houses in each store, not just to show off how the merchandise can be used, but to also hook customers into enjoying themselves so much they'll not only spread the word, but they'll also come back themselves. Like you being like, I want to go and find a haunted house one. Like, that's good for their business.
Right, that's what they want. Right. Which makes them a cult.
Yeah, absolutely. Spirit is so well known for its cult following and entertainment factor that Forbes magazine wrote an entire article about the store's practices, but not just to report on them. The article literally uses Spirit's business as entertainment practices as a teaching tool for other entrepreneurs.
Oh, shit. So it's saying, like, if you're starting your own business, you could do well to learn from the, like,
right.
Come here to get entertained and then buy stuff while you're here.
Right. Like, it literally has a list of strategies other businesses can lift from. So, like, some of those are, quote, craft a rich emotional customer experience. And my favorite, quote, leverage systems and processes to do the impossible.
Yeah, that is some business speak right there.
Yeah. But they basically mean, like,
paradigm shifts. And yeah, I know.
They mean figure out how to have 1,300 stores every year for only 3 months by, like, gaming the system of real estate and whatever.
Right.
Whatever. Go read the Forbes article. I'll link to it.
It sounds compelling.
Forbes isn't the only one obsessively singing Spirit's praises. I read a blog post from a fan that loves Spirit Halloween and his spectacle so much that, quote, I honestly believe that some of these stores could get away with charging a small admission fee.
Oh, right. You mentioned that.
So that's the cult, quote unquote, following present in Spirit's employees and clientele. Before we wrap up, I want to highlight 3 things. So let's talk about one major negative trait Spirit exhibits. One major positive trait it exhibits, and then one potentially cute, potentially weird, potentially ritually trait it exhibits.
Okay.
Let's start with the negative.
Is there a tulpa store? Have they imagined a different store entirely in the store's mind, but it exists as an independent store?
They haven't done that, but there might be a tulpa. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
Starting with the negative, we've mostly talked about people's various positive experiences with the store, but that doesn't mean it's always sunshine and rainbows. The company has found itself in hot water multiple times over its selling of racist and insensitive costumes.
Oh, well, yeah, you mentioned that thing with Spencer's, so that makes sense.
Yeah. So, for example, just this year, an Albuquerque location was called out by local activists and citizens for selling a racist caricature costume called Mexican Man. The costume featured the tropes of a black handlebar mustache and a poncho and encouraged customers to wear it with an oversized sombrero. Pretty fucking racist. And like,
I'm laughing.
No, it's just, it's, I don't understand how you do that in 2019. Okay, I do understand how you do that in 2019. It would take a whole other podcast to like get into it. But I just mean, these are like mistakes that never should have been made. And this is like a mistake that would be called out in like the 80s.
For Mexican Man, yeah, that one's a little...
Mexican Man!
That one's a little obvious, yeah.
And Mexican Man is not the only time that it's happened. They've also come under fire for selling racist costumes depicting Native peoples, particularly one called... It's like a play on the, excuse the slur, Indian princess thing, and it's called Reservation Royalty. Again,
using the word reservation is probably not a good idea.
Not in this context.
In this context.
It's racist. In fact, it has gotten so bad with Spirit sometimes that there have been multiple petitions circulating calling for the business to just like cut it out with the racism.
Yeah.
We can talk about some other insensitive costumes that don't really have to do with culture. Racist costumes aren't the only ones Spirit has put on the shelves. One article described a quote-unquote Cecil the Lion costume for dogs, complete with a mane and fake blood. Do we all remember Cecil the Lion? Cecil the Lion was actually like an attraction lion in a specific wildlife park. I forget where.
Oh, I forgot.
And then like a big game hunter killed him.
Oh, that was Cecil.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not funny. I understand why you're laughing. The costume was like, I think it was for dogs, and it had a mane and fake blood. And the article wasn't saying that was an insensitive costume. I'm saying that I find that insensitive.
It's definitely insensitive. You definitely shouldn't buy it. But it's also funny.
Another instance of this was a Wisconsin location in 2014. Found that the store stocked the shelves with both Slenderman costumes. Always goes back to Slenderman.
Slenderman. Oh, that's why you said tulpas are here.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. But yeah, tulpas are maybe here in the form of Slenderman. So they sold Slenderman costumes and Slenderman inflatable yard decorations.
Yeah, how do you dress as Slenderman? If you like, how do you become impossibly thin and 8 feet tall?
Oh,
suddenly?
we'll post pictures of the costume. Don't worry.
Okay.
Well, what's so bad about Slenderman?
Yeah,
you might ask.
I am asking that.
Aside from the fact that I'm terrified of him, Well, unfortunately, also in 2014, that same Wisconsin community was forced to confront the true horrible realities that Slenderman can bring when 2 teen girls became obsessed with the Slenderman legend and believed they needed to murder another teen girl in order to satisfy him.
What? Did that really happen?
Yes. I don't want to go too into detail here because, again, we're going to do Slenderman as a topic in time.
Holy shit.
But these 2 girls...
That is super not Spirit Halloween's fault.
No, it's not. But this was an extreme... Like, this was a pretty high-profile case. Like, they stabbed their friend 19 times.
Oh, my God.
And she survived. And it was about... Oh,
man. Baller.
Slenderman related. Like, this was in... Like, this was on Yahoo News. Like, that's how mainstream it got.
That is fucked up.
And, like, this community was traumatized by this.
Right.
And the Slenderman costumes, they felt was kind of an oversight on the part of Spirit.
Spirit... Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was... We were saying that, like, they had Slenderman costumes and it triggered these girls.
It was the stabbing happened
horrible
in May.
Community traumatizing event.
Yeah.
And then right after that,
yeah,
Spirit Halloween was like, want to have a costume that reminds you of that?
Yeah. So they did, once there was outcry, they did pull the products, and I think that was
that sounds like a oopsie daisy.
Okay. Negative stuff over.
Yay.
Let's talk positive, and this is very positive.
I like positive things.
This is very positive. We're going to talk about... We might have talked about Spirit of Children before. I'm not sure. So let's talk about it in depth here. Spirit of Children.
Yeah, I don't think we've talked about that yet.
In addition to providing customers with enjoyable experiences and cute costumes, Spirit Halloween has also run a pretty incredible charity for the last 13 years. We talked about it, we didn't talk about it on the show. We talked about it with the lady at the store, but we didn't talk about this in depth. Spirit of Children was founded in 2006, and its goal is to, quote, make hospitals less scary for kids and their families. According to Spirit's own website, the charity has raised $55 million over the years and has used that money to support the Child Life Department at various hospitals across the U.S. and Canada.
That's great.
Those millions of dollars in donations have funded art, music, aquatic, and pet therapy programs, and also toys and educational items that can be used as like distractions or something to focus on during medical procedures.
That's so great because like hospitals can be
scary,
pretty scary,
sterile,
and there's beeping and there's people next to you that are
lights on and
weird lights and strangers
over across the way.
Yeah, hospitals can be scary for adults, much less kids.
Yeah.
So that's a good use of time and money.
And their specific focus is on kids that are like in hospital for long-term stays, potentially like living there.
Right.
So in addition to these funding activities, they also donate Halloween costumes, accessories, decorations, and more to kids who are living in hospitals during the Halloween season. Mm-hmm. So they get to bring some of that spooky holiday spirit and a sense of normalcy to kids and families dealing with like traumatic and distressing experiences.
Sweet.
100% of every dollar that Spirit Halloween's donates supports the Child Life Department directly. So that's pretty fucking cool and pretty fucking positive.
Yeah, very culty.
Right. Yeah, charities are cults. You heard it here first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One last thing before we get to our evaluation. Do you remember the logo for Spirit Halloween?
Not off the top. Can you show
describe
it to me?
it? No?
Not if I don't remember it. Was I supposed to remember that? And then you were going to say...
I'm just trying to find the picture now. Okay, I'm going to turn this guy.
I don't even really remember seeing that. Okay.
Well, usually it looks like that or that.
I remember the orange sign. I just didn't remember the...
And he's always on there.
Okay, so what we're looking at logo-wise here, listeners, is there is what appears to be a moon. It's a large yellow circle. And then flying out of the circle directly at you is what appears to be the Grim Reaper. It's like a skeleton in a tattered cloak, but he's also floating. It's just like his torso. There's a few little bats just behind his head, and then right in front of him, just between you and him as he's about to scarily grab you and take you to whatever, it says Spirit Halloween. And there's little starbursts in the Spirit font.
Thank you for that. It was very thorough.
Yeah. You're welcome.
I'm going to turn it back around. Okay. So this logo that you just described, I think, is very iconic and has even crossed over into meme space, even though you couldn't describe it before.
Wow.
Yes. The logo.
I couldn't think of it.
The logo and the store itself even have their own Know Your Meme and TV Tropes pages.
No shit.
There's a really, like, part of when it started becoming mimetic was when, do you remember when the government shut down, like, last year or 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Under the current administration, there was, like, a big government shutdown.
Yeah.
Some amazing genius person, I'll try to find who it was and link to it because it was fucking genius. They tweeted, like, something about how, like, government's only been shut down for 2 days and one of those Halloween stores have already moved in. And it was this Photoshop picture of the White House with a big Spirit Halloween banner. And it's so funny.
That's awesome.
So I thought the logo that you just described was just like a generic creepy ghoul. You described him as like a floating Grim Reaper. I just thought maybe, this is probably the result of some stock image somewhere.
Sure.
Nope. The logo is actually, this is what I was talking about tulpa-wise. It's not really a tulpa. The logo is actually a character created by Spirit Halloween, complete with its own backstory and series of changes over the years.
Oh, shit. Is it the Spirit of Halloween?
No.
Oh, well, that seems like a miss.
The ghoul on the logo is actually named Jack the Reaper, and he's been in use since at least 2011.
Okay. That's a name.
Over the years, obviously it's a play on Jack the Ripper.
Oh, yeah. It's a play on Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
Thank you for explaining that to me.
Jack the Reaper. Over the years, his eye color and body comp has changed a bit, but he's pretty much always been that same ghostly skeleton in a black hooded robe with the sinister smile and the one glowing eye. He's often incorporated into displays, the store calls them themes, alongside some story that allows him to help sell and market various products to the store, specifically the animatronics.
Did not pick up on that.
I didn't see it in our store either, but like here is something from the actual Spirit website that we can use as an example. So this year, across many Spirit stores, Jack is featured in a theme called the SS Riptide, R.I.P.
No, I get it.
Quote, we're bringing you the story of the Reaper's Wharf, where Jack, the Spirit Halloween Reaper, hijacks the SS Riptide and collects many spooky, horrifying, and creepy accomplices along the way. What was Jack going to do with all these terrifying creatures? They crashed during their journey and completely took over Reaper's Wharf, making it their own. We're going to try to paint a picture of how awesome this year's display is, but we highly recommend you check it out in person for the full effect. And then just basically listed all of the animatronics that were going to be like incorporated into the displays with descriptions.
Question.
Yeah.
Why is there a maritime theme?
No idea.
Okay.
It just is. That's what they came up with this year.
I see.
Boats are trendy. I don't know. So.
I should buy a boat.
Jack the Reaper.
Yeah. Clever.
There it is. That is the full story of the incredibly iconic pop-up store, Spirit Halloween. Again, I have a shit ton of articles that I will link to. But before that, what do we think? Should I read out our criteria?
Let's criteria this up. Let's do our ritual.
So for our ritual, we have obviously 1 ritual, 2 charismatic leader, 3 anti-factuality, 4 harm. What was
expected harm?
Expected harm. I just wrote harm. It wasn't good.
Harm. It harms the harm.
5. Is it niche? Or what are we calling it? Percentage of... No.
It's niche.
Niche? Is it niche?
It's officially changed. We
yap
about it every goddamn episode, but it started off as population
now
size, and now is it niche?
And then percentage of life consumed.
Right.
So,
okay.
Go on through.
So, I'm going to give it like a medium to high on ritual because Halloween is a fairly ritualistic holiday to begin with. There's lots of like things that you do in certain ways.
Right.
You carve your pumpkins and you dress up and you get the candy and you have to say trick or treat, and there's certain stories that you tell every year, and so there's a lot of ritual involved in that, and it seems like this is no different. And of course the fact that I really don't want to keep saying Brigadoon because I don't think everybody has seen that play or heard of it, but it disappears every year and comes back. So all that definitely seems like a little odd and certainly ritualistic. So let's give it a medium to high on that.
Okay.
So I asked before about charismatic leader. I was like, is this the charismatic leader, the founder? And you said, well, just wait. So who were you talking about?
I wasn't talking about it. I was saying wait before you make that decision because he goes out of the picture pretty quickly.
Oh.
And then also we talk about Jack the Reaper. Oh, so maybe it's Jack the Reaper.
Maybe he's the charismatic leader. Yeah. That is a gigantic stretch, I think.
He's on every fucking building.
It sounds like the founder is the guy.
Marver.
It sounds like he sounds a little more like Donald Bren, where he's not necessarily charismatic. He's just a savvy businessman.
Right.
So I'm going to give it like a exists, but low.
Okay. Anti-factuality.
I wasn't picking up on any of that. Was there any like motivated reasoning, like
not really
closed logical loops? Okay.
Harm, expected harm, financial harm.
I'm not seeing the financial. Like most of it seemed like benefit. Most of it seemed like revitalizing areas.
Right.
The one caveat to that seems to be the tangent we took about
the racism and the insensitive costumes.
Yeah, insensitive costumes. So a little bit potentially.
What about just the general harm of like engaging so deeply in just like consumerist culture and just like really shoving down our throats our like capitalist overlords of like Disney and Marvel and Fortnite and
that's valid.
Are they just starving us of culture?
But I feel like that is part of a larger discussion.
It's when we do capitalism
when we do capitalism as a cult, which is maybe like the unfortunately has seemed to become the meta theme of this. I was hoping it would be skepticism, but I guess it's more about like boo capitalism.
We'll just be skeptical of capitalism. That's okay.
That's true. Okay, fine.
Or of how it is implemented currently.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I can get on board with that.
I was mostly making a joke. I don't think there's much harm here.
Yeah. No.
Outside of that meta.
Right.
And then the insensitive costumes is not
right.
great.
So there's a little bit.
Right.
It
ain't niche.
No, it's not niche. Everybody celebrates Halloween, at least in America.
But it's not celebrating Halloween. It's Spirit Halloween.
Well, does everybody know about Spirit? I guess most people know about Spirit Halloween.
There's 1,300 stores. There's 30,000 employees.
Okay. That's not niche. I mean,
it's
certainly more niche than Mary Kay. They had they had similar employees. No, fewer employees, but more distributors. So, I don't know. But yeah, you're right. It's not niche. It's not.
No.
Just ain't. Okay. Life consumed seems like this is where we can maybe get some high marks potentially for people that are. This is where we talk about the like fandom is a cult thing.
Right.
That's where I think the percentage of life consumed is kind of where that rears its head a little bit. So yeah, I think like for some of the employees that are working there year after year and trying to get their friends there,
or like working there during Black Friday situations where it's like probably a lot of your life is consumed.
So I think that this potentially scores a high, but not necessarily with expected harm.
Okay.
It's consuming my life and also harming me. Right. Aside from like the whole minimum wage thing, but by and large.
Oh, we didn't even talk about that. Yeah, that's.
But by and large, it's a little bit, but by and large, it sounded like
there's also
people still wanted to work there despite that.
But I mean, people have to just have jobs. Like we talked about George, who was like, I just need to be able to survive until Christmas. And he goes on to talk in that article about not having any sort of benefits in terms of like health insurance. Like that sucks.
Yeah. But also, what's the alternative? Is the alternative for George to not have a job during that season?
No, the alternative is for capitalism to allow for people to make a livable wage.
Like,
$15 an hour. Call your senators.
If you're Spirit Halloween and we're saying, are they harming this guy? I mean, not really. What's harming this guy is like the inability to exist within society based on how it's set up.
Okay.
Not Spirit Halloween.
But it would, I think, behoove us to potentially, as supplemental content, look into how much money, like, the current CEO of Spirit Halloween makes compared to their, like, their employees.
And I think that's a valid thing to look into, but I'm not sure it would convince me that that meant expected harm.
I think
that would mean not being fair. That would mean not paying a fair wage when you are able to, but it doesn't mean you're harming them.
I disagree. I think if you are paying somebody not a living wage when you have the capacity to, you are still harming them.
But it's a voluntary. See, now we're gonna like
jobs ain't voluntary, man.
I don't want to be here another hour. This is another episode. So anyway, is that
I'm saying there's 50 expected harms.
50 expected harms. Okay. Out of 1,000 though, so that's not many. So,
No, 100.
Okay. And was there one more? I forget my own criteria.
No, we ended on life consumed.
Life consumed. Right. Okay. So a few of those got highs. Most of them, I think 4 of them out of the 6 got lows or exists but low. Therefore,
it's just weird.
It's just weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely see where it makes the cut because you have, the cult fandom and you have the strange ritual. And as we talked about in last episode, sometimes just the presence of ritual is enough to make you go, huh? What's going on there?
Right.
But looking at it closely, just weird.
Just weird. All right.
Yeah. Good job, Spirit Halloween. You are weird. And it's definitely weird. We physically went there. It was weird.
Yeah. And their whole business model is weird.
But like any Halloween store is weird.
Yeah.
Because there's costumes and there's...
Especially when there's like, on one wall, there's like, kid's dinosaur costume. And then across on the other wall, it's like, sexy thigh highs and a whip.
Right.
Sexy Bob Ross. Next to Mickey Mouse.
In between, it's remember the steampunk bit?
Oh, yeah.
That was awesome.
Cool.
All right.
End. Happy Halloween.
The end.
Happy Halloween, bitches.
Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween, motherfuckers.
Happy Halloween.
And if you're listening to this and Halloween is in a couple days, then go to Spirit Halloween at your local...
Check them out.
Defunct mall or whatever the hell it is.
There's one near you.
Check them out.
Buy a costume.
Maybe there's a haunted house.
Be Mr. Fortnite.
Be Mr. Fortnite. But yes, happy Halloween, and we will see you on the flip side.
Ew.
That just came out. Like, I couldn't stop it. Like, it just...
That's terrible. Do we have any sort of call to action for our listeners this time around? Other than having a fantastic Halloween season.
Yeah, actually, don't have a fantastic Halloween season. Instead, rate us and tell your friends about us.
Actually, when you go trick-or-treating, when they give you the candy, go, have you listened to Culture Just Weird? Yes. You're welcome.
Yes. Yeah. And on the reverse side of that, when the kids come to your house to get candy, every single one of them say, here's some candy, and also be sure to download and listen to Culture Just Weird. And the kids will go, oh, thank you so much. That is the best trick-or-treat gift I have ever received.
Yeah, I mean, you got to get them early.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Start early.
Yeah, if they're fans now, then by the time they grow up, they'll be giving us tons of money and.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we can just do pop-ups. Just work 3 months out of the year.
Yeah, we'll do a pop-up Culture Just Weird store.
That's not a bad idea.
We'll sell cults and weirds.
And also, in the meantime, remember to keep emailing us your creative projects with your hometown cult story.
Thank you, Michaela, for talking to us about your Twitch stream.
So send us, just like Michaela, be like Michaela, send us your projects.
Yeah.
And we will pimp them on the show. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't say pimp.
Why not?
We will tout them.
We will
promote them on the show.
We will legitimate manager of a sex worker them on the show.
There's no legitimate managers of sex workers except for them sex workers themselves. That's actually why Fosta Sesta is really bad.
Fosta Sesta?
Fosta Sesta. You can't have any website that has any sort of sex work on it is going to get in real big trouble.
Oh, right.
So literally everyone has to go back on the streets now. Pimps are a thing again. People are getting hurt. It's terrible. Call your senators.
Anyway, this has been Culture Just Weird.
That part's not staying in.
Oh, so it's not? Oh,
no,
okay.
God, no.
I don't know.
I'll do Fosta Sesta at some point.
All right, sign us off. What's make a joke or something.
That's Chris.
And that's Kayla.
And this has been
Cult.
No, I want to say the cult part.
Oh, sorry.
This has been Cult.
Or Just Weird Halloween edition.
That was horrible.
It's always horrible.